Hey, what is up, guys? It's Cam Bam here. Today, we're going to be reviewing my third movie I have seen from this year called Warfare. This movie was actually a true story, and it is based around a group of Iraq war soldiers who had very scary experiences in the war. And actually, the co-director of the movie itself was actually a soldier in that group in real life. And this whole movie is a way of showing what happened in that story to its audience. And so we're going to be reviewing it today. And without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, so to start things out, we're going to start with the pros of this movie. And honestly, this is going to be kind of a hard movie to rank or rate because it's a true story and it's hard to tweak things on a true story to make them more interesting and stuff. So since it's a true story and it's based around what actually had happened, it's hard to rate this movie in a way because everything that happened is true and you can't really tweak what happened. So we are going to be talking about the way they filmed it, though, the story, what we got from the story, and the realism and all that stuff. So actually, one of the pros is the realism. The realism of this movie was phenomenal, and from a person that actually hasn't been to war or a person that doesn't really know much about the actual tactical stuff in the war, this would felt like a very realistic movie to some casual person that comes upon this movie. It just felt very realistic, and from someone who plays Call of Duty and all that, I mean, it seemed like it was way more realistic than even that, because this was actually a true story, and it was made by a person that was a veteran in this true story. So, I mean, it's hard not to expect it not to be realistic because it's from the person who actually experienced this event. The realism was phenomenal. The way they talked, all the tactical ways they talked, the events that happened in the movie, all that was very realistic to someone who hasn't been to war. And I felt like they did that very well because most of the people who are seeing this movie aren't actually veterans. From what I can guess, they're just people wanting to go see a movie that tends to be a war movie. The basic audience of this movie isn't going to really know the language and all the tactical stuff they're saying, but I mean, it's effective. It makes it feel like it's actually happening and it's a war movie right in front of you. Like it's really well done. And another pro I will give this movie is the background of the story. Now there is another con that comes along with this pro, but we'll talk about that in just a minute. But the background of the story, the whole co-director is the part of this whole entire story in the real life was really cool to me. I've really never actually, I don't think I've ever seen a movie like this where the co-director or someone who actually directed this movie was actually a part of the true story. And I find that pretty cool. I find that really cool actually, because you get to see the full on story from someone who experienced it. I mean, it's one thing when you see another movie from a guy who trying to go off of a true story from someone else, but didn't experience it themselves, versus someone who actually experienced the story that they're portraying in a movie. It makes a very big difference, and it's very effective. So I really enjoyed that backstory. I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm not really going to go into what the backstory is because that's going to give off spoilers and all that. I don't want to give any of that away. So I'm just gonna stop it there from right there on that pro because I don't want to spoil anything else in the movie. Another thing about this movie that I really actually enjoyed was the cinematography. Not only did this movie have realism, but the cinematography, the way they filmed it, the way the shots, the action in this movie, the way they filmed everything was very well done, and I really enjoyed that part because. And I'll give one scene off. It's not a spoiler or anything, but I'm going to give one scene as an example when they have an airstrike come in. And the way they filmed that scene was so cool to me. They had the airstrike come in, and as you see it pass, then this big cloud of smoke and bomb explosions just comes right after it. And the camera just stays still the entire time on the whole hallway or the whole alleyway that's in. I felt like that was just such a cool way to film things. I felt like they've done this really well. I felt like they knew what they were doing, and not to mention another one of the directors in this movie. The other co-director is the guy that made Civil War from last year, which was my third favorite movie from that year in general. This guy knows how to direct war movies for real. Like he's really good at it. So I did not have low expectations for this movie at all because I knew that this guy knew how to film Civil War. and I saw that, and I really enjoyed that. And so I knew that with another war movie the year after that, this would be a pretty good movie. So I really enjoyed the cinematography, the way they filmed it, the story, and all the realism effects, all that, all the realism, the way they talked to each other, that all really went hand in hand with each other very well. Now on to the cons of this movie, and I really only have one con. Like I said, it's very hard to rate something that was actually a true story because you can't tweak what really happened, or else it doesn't make it a true story. So, the only cons I would really have is at the end of this movie, they'd show you the actual soldiers of the real story in real life and the actors that played the real soldiers. So they compare them and they tell a little bit of true story, or they tell a little bit of background information on what really happened afterwards. But I feel like they didn't do it enough. So I actually had no idea what really happened after the entire movie happened in real life in the true story. So my dad went to go look it up, and he said that this whole movie, because there's one soldier that gets severely injured in the movie, two of them actually, but one of them gets very injured, and I didn't know what happened to him afterwards. Like, they explain one of the soldiers they show that is injured, and I didn't know which one in real life they showed from the movie. So I was wondering, did the guy that got severely injured in the movie, did he pass away after this whole aftermath, or after this whole war happened? And the whole story wasn't very well explained after the movie was done. It didn't really do a very good job of showing what really happened after all this. So my dad went to go look it up, like I said, and the guy that got severely injured in the movie, and in real life, he actually did survive, and this movie was a dedication to him. And they do show that it was a dedication to this guy, but I didn't know if he survived or not. So I didn't know if the guy they were showing in the after the credits was actually the guy that they dedicated this movie to. But they didn't show this very well, because they also tell in an article that my dad read that the guy that this movie is dedicated to, and the guy that was severely injured in the movie and in real life, didn't realize or didn't remember what had happened to him. So this whole movie apparently was the co-director's way of showing him what had happened to him in a movie form. And I felt like that is really, really cool, but why did they not tell us that in the end? Like, I felt like that could have been a really cool way of telling the audience, like, hey, this is why we made this movie. And I felt like that would have been very impactful. That would have been a very cool way of ending off things. But they just didn't do that. They didn't really explain it very well to me, and I didn't really understand who survived and who didn't. I think everyone survived in the movie, but they didn't really do a good job of showing who's who in the movie and in real life. So that's the only con I really have for this movie, because like I said, this is a true story. Making things change to the true story wouldn't make it a true story anymore. And that's like I said, that's hard to judge off of because of that. But overall, I felt like this movie was very well done. Like I said, it's very different when you have someone who actually experienced what happened in this movie in real life and they direct it. I mean, that makes a very big difference versus someone who makes a true story movie but wasn't actually part of that true story. It makes a huge difference, and that makes a huge result, and a very good result. I'd probably give this movie an 8.3 out of 10. Just because I liked the realism, but I just wish they could have given some more backstory on it, background information of what really had happened afterwards. But overall, like I said, this is a very highly rated movie for me. I really liked it a lot. But anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you guys haven't seen this movie, I would definitely recommend it. It was a very, very good movie to me, like I've said, and I really recommend it. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.